Hey everyone, we all trust our security tools to be our digital bodyguards, right? But what if those guards, the most trusted things on your network, could actually turn on you? That's what we're digging into today. This really critical, kind of scary idea that the very systems built to protect you could become the most dangerous threat you face. I mean, just think about that question for a second. Could the very tools you've spent a fortune on to defend your network actually be the ones to tear it all down from the inside out? Well, the answer, and this is the unsettling part, is a definite yes. So let's talk about how. Okay, so here's the absolute heart of the problem. Your security tools, especially things like SOAR and XDR, they're designed with some pretty advanced AI to keep you safe. But to do their job, they run with the highest level of API access to, well, almost everything. And if they're not set up perfectly, if they're misconfigured, your protector literally becomes the attacker. Now, this is part 2 of a 2-part series by Virtualization Options LLC, and their full reports really go deep into these vulnerabilities and how to safeguard your infrastructure. Right, so before we get into the risk, you've got to understand the sheer power we're dealing with here. We're talking about what's often called the modern security triad: SOAR, SIM, and XDR. And look, these aren't just little programs. They are massive, integrated platforms that promise to fight today's cyber threats with incredible speed and intelligence. First up, you've got SOAR. The easiest way to think about SOAR is that it's the muscle of your security team. It's all about taking action and fast. It automates your response plans, your playbooks, letting you react to a threat in minutes instead of hours. It's your super fast first responder. Then you've got SIEM. So if SOAR is the muscle, SIEM is definitely the brain. Its whole job is to pull in mountains of log data from every corner of your network, put it all in one place, and then make sense of it. It's the analytical engine that's constantly looking for patterns and connecting the dots. And to round out our triad, we have XDR. This is like the central nervous system of your entire security operation. It pulls everything together, from your laptops and servers to your cloud environments, into one single unified view. It gives you the whole picture, not just little snapshots. And this table really brings it all home. You can see how they work together, right? SIEM gives you the visibility, XDR integrates all that data for detection, and then SOAR provides the raw speed for the response. When they're working together, it's an incredibly powerful defense. But as we're about to see, with that kind of power comes a whole lot of risk. So this is where we get to the double-edged sword. All that power, all that tight integration, it can backfire in the most spectacular ways. And I want to be clear, this isn't just theory. We're going to look at some real-world stories where these amazing tools went very, very wrong. Okay, picture this. There's a huge retail company, and they've got a SOAR playbook. It's a great idea. If a point-of-sale system gets infected, the playbook automatically takes it offline to stop malware from spreading. Smart, right? But then, one day, a tiny logic error in a new threat rule gets pushed out. And suddenly, the playbook wasn't just targeting infected systems, it started targeting all of them. And this just shows you the terrifying scale of what happened next. Over 5,000 of their point-of-sale systems were instantly knocked offline. Just try to imagine that. 5,000 cash registers and credit card machines all dead. In the middle of peak shopping hours. The entire business just slammed to a halt. And here's the real kicker. How long do you think it took for this chaos to unfold? Just 15 minutes. That's it. That's the mind-boggling speed of automation when it goes haywire. The very tool they bought to protect their business ended up causing this massive, instant shutdown. All right, let's look at a totally different kind of failure. This time, it's a healthcare provider. A developer makes a simple mistake. They accidentally commit a configuration file to a public GitHub repository. Big deal, right? Well, yeah, it was, because buried in that file were the API keys to their entire SOAR platform. That's basically like leaving the master key to your entire security operation lying on the sidewalk. Yeah, this quote from the incident report is just chilling. Attackers found those keys in a matter of hours. And because the API could read all the security logs and threat data, the attackers could just sit back and learn exactly how the company defended itself. It was like getting a guided tour of the alarm system. And the worst part? It all went completely undetected for days. Okay, so those stories are pretty alarming, but they are not inevitable. This isn't about throwing these powerful tools out the window, not at all. It's about having the right discipline to manage them safely. So let's flip this around and talk about the solutions, the essential safeguards you need to have in place. It all has to start with the absolute fundamentals of access control. First, role-based access, or RBAC. You have to define exactly what each person or system can do. No more giving everyone the keys to the kingdom. Second, you have to live and breathe the principle of least privilege. Only give the absolute bare minimum access needed to do a job and nothing more. And third, multi-factor authentication on everything. Lock down every single entry point, especially those powerful APIs. Now, remember that runaway playbook we talked about? This is how you stop that from ever happening. It's called command throttling, and it basically acts like a circuit breaker. You can set smart limits like you see here. During a normal day, maybe you cap endpoint commands at 100 per minute. But if a real incident kicks off, that limit can automatically jump to 500. It's a safety valve that gives you both protection and flexibility. Next up, you have to harden the actual systems themselves. I mean, think about it. Your security platforms are prime targets for attackers. This means you have to be relentless about patching, about turning off any service you don't absolutely need, and encrypting everything. Following industry standards like the CIS benchmarks is a huge help, and you absolutely have to isolate your management interfaces on their own separate network. You gotta make the guards themselves a much, much tougher target. You know, all of this really points to a massive shift in how we think about security. The old way was like a castle with a moat, right? You trusted everything inside the walls and were suspicious of everything outside. The new model, Zero Trust, just throws that out. It assumes attackers are already inside. It runs on a really simple but powerful idea. Never trust, always verify. Every single request has to prove who it is and that it's allowed to be there, every time. Now, putting all these safeguards in place isn't something you do once and then forget about. It's not a project with an end date. Real security requires continuous, constant vigilance. So let's talk about what it takes to actually future-proof your defenses for the long haul. And this is exactly why that vigilance is so important. When you look at the data on where breaches come from, it's pretty clear that threats are coming from everywhere. You've got insider threats making up a huge chunk. You've got vulnerabilities in your partner systems. You've got stolen credentials. It's a mess. Your defense can't just be a wall that faces outward. It has to be a 360-degree shield. So when you boil it all down, technology by itself just isn't the answer. You can have the best, most expensive tools in the world, but they're useless without the right strategy and the right culture. You need a strong governance framework to keep an eye on them. You absolutely need buy-in from your leadership, and you need a culture where everybody in the organization actually understands that security is part of their job. And that really leaves us with this one last critical question. Your security systems have ultimate power over your network. They hold the keys. They can be your greatest protector, or they can be what destroys you. So the question you really have to ask yourself is, are you truly prepared to govern them? Thanks for tuning in.